You know, throughout everything that's happened in Penacony thus far, has any living character suffered worse than dear old Sunday? He lost his little sister that he watched grow up before his very eyes, and is forced to remain stoic so as to not cause a panic. And I mean, yeah, I guess we lost Firefly, but like, we knew her for like 3 hours. And for half of it, she was apologizing to us for lying. I mean, while Sunday doesn't look especially torn up about Robin's death, I suppose we shouldn't mistake, the absence of tears as lack of grief. It's important to keep in mind he might not be especially sad, because he seems to be hinting that the Aeon Xipe, this fruity motherfucker, will soon descend unto Penacony and exact retribution if they aren't there already. Regardless, Sunday's spiel right at the end of the quest gave us the most insight into his character yet, and he sounds demonic. But given he decided pronouns were his favorite thing in the universe, it might have been a little hard to understand, so let's go over it.
There's no need. The malefactor has been exposed under their radiant gaze, and will soon fall by their own machinations.
Like, bro, who speaks like this, Mike? Sounds like a supervillain. This sentence is interesting for two big reasons. The first being Sunday's claim that the mastermind behind all these killings has slipped up and has been exposed by their radiant gaze, and as a result will soon succumb to their own schemes. As for who they are, there's a couple of eons referred to using these pronouns just because, like, what is this? Like an assortment of paintings? I'm assuming it's the one Eon of Harmony who has been referred to especially in the plural form, Xipe. Like stated earlier, appropriately, Xipe is the Eon representing harmony, but as opposed to being one individual, is in actuality, quote, the amalgamation of thousands of entities that preach the joy of human harmony and unity. One of these entities, by the way, just so happens to be another Eon, and of the Order, who was absorbed by Xipe during the Swarm disaster. This wouldn't be the first time Xipe has been referred to using the they pronouns, as Herta also called Xipe they in the devlog of the simulated universe, writing, quote, Xipe the Harmony, O mother of all stars, they proclaimed harmonious hymns of celebration and united all wills as one. Xipe, of course, has a special connection with Penacony, given they were the one to descend unto this world following the stellaron incident and recruit the prisoners to become members of the family, transforming it from a prison once controlled by the IPC to a luxury dream hotel controlled by the family. However, what's especially interesting about Xipe is what Sunday implies in his next statement.
Should the transgressor fail to turn away from this path, their sword will be honed, their bow strung, causing the malevolence the perpetrator spreads to befall them.
So he's in essence stating that should the mastermind not give up, Xipe's sword will be honed and their bow will be strung, which in turn will bring no good to them. Now obviously the most interesting part of this statement is the idea that Xipe will actually do something. We've yet to see an Eon mingle in mortal affairs. However, there's a near 100% chance we see Xipe in some form during Penacony because the game told us so. What do I mean by this? Well, with regards to the Charmony Festival that's presently going on in Penacony, the loading screen writes, quote, it's a significant ritual in Penacony occurring only once at each Amber Era. When the Charmony Festival is performed on any planet, Xipe's incarnation will descend to bestow blessings upon both believers and non-believers alike. So it seems like at some point an incarnation of Xipe is bound to pay the land of Penacony visits, or they're already here, which makes you wonder, who could they be? Who among the people we've met so far could be a god? But not just any god, an eldritch, Lovecraftian, enigmatic entity similar in nature to that of an all too familiar god in a sister game. If you don't know who I'm talking about, let me introduce you to the Primordial One, a progenitor god hailing from beyond the stars. However, circling back to Sunday's statement, it may be Xipe is taking up arms to dispatch of whoever is ruining the Charmony Festival.
And when that time comes, the heathen will realize they are but a mere mortal, doomed to descend into the netherworld. And I will join their vanguard to announce this good news to you personally. Watchmaker.
Now to start, I won't lie, I'm a bit confused here because for some reason the there isn't capitalized, despite the fact that in every other sentence it was. So assuming this is just a simple mistake, the statement Sunday makes in its entirety is soon the mastermind will realize they are just immortal and that Sunday will join Xipe in killing the perpetrator, and he will announce news of their funeral personally to the Watchmaker, who he was addressing the entire time. He makes it sound as if the Watchmaker is still alive, which is interesting. We know very little about the Watchmaker. I mean, Welt and Himiko took their own stabs at who the Watchmaker is.
They say he's a historically important figure in Penacony, and tales of his life have been handed down over generations. Such tales encourage believers to come to the planet of festivities to pursue their dreams. He's an interesting fellow, that's for sure, and his legacy still has the power to draw people in. But how and why he's involved with that invite, and why his name popped up in the encrypted message allegedly sent by a nameless, I've got no leads for now.
One can't discuss the planet of festivities without mentioning the Watchmaker. Penacony's household name and figure. Fortune, fame, status. He built everyone's futures with his bare hands and became the symbol of dreams. But the veracity of these stories remains untraceable. Many have their own opinions on the Watchmaker's origin and past. And there are even some who suspect he's a conceptual construct of the family. For now, I do not think this invite is linked to the Watchmaker. His legacy, it sounds more like a marketing hook to drum up more traffic, if nothing else.
But what we do know is he's said to be the founder of Penacony. In fact, so little is known about the Watchmaker that some believe, like Himiko said, he never even existed and was merely created by the family to, you know, cause a buzz. However, of the fables that have been told about the Watchmaker over time, it's said that he, quote, always possesses a unique insight that allows him to easily discern business opportunities beneath the dreamy bubbles and create grandiose how the fuck do you say that word, bro? And create grandiose enterprises that none have thought of. Furthermore, where the Watchmaker came from is a complete mystery. Quote, some say he was once a craftsman at a clock tower. Some say he was once a merchant who sold timepieces. There are even those who say his head is shaped like a watch face, just like Clocky, which he created. Hell, even who the Watchmaker is a complete mystery. Quote, in these rootless fables, he is sometimes a kind old gentleman, an elegant lady, and even a giant gentleman hundreds of feet tall. However, no matter the version of the story, he is always magnificently dressed. Given these stories have been told for hundreds of years, you can see why some would rationalize then that the Watchmaker simply never existed. However, Sunday's statement seems to not only imply the Watchmaker exists, but is also alive, which would make the Watchmaker hundreds of years old at least. Which I suppose is none too surprising, given Qingchua is a couple hundred years old. Age aside, his identity is probably the biggest thing he's holding on to. The Watchmaker sounds far too old to be Misha's grandfather Mikhail, given it's said that the Watchmaker stories have been told for hundreds of years. So barring Misha's family comes from a species of extended lifespan, it can't be him. But other than that, I don't have a clue who the Watchmaker could be or what his legacy entails. Originally, I thought maybe it could be Xipe, given Xipe presumably can just take whatever form they want, which would line up with the fact that the Watchmaker has been said to have many forms, including ones that don't make sense, like a clock face. But if it were in actuality an Aeon, this would make complete sense. But I don't know, Sunday's statement seems to imply that both the Watchmaker and Xipe are two different entities. Given the guest list is called the Watchmaker's guest list, I think it's safe to say the answer to Himiko's earlier question of who gathered all the factions in this one place was the Watchmaker, but as for why, that remains to be answered.